apologize on behalf of all Yankee fans. We underestimated our team and will try our best to never question the moves you make again. We hope you accept this as we pursue number 27. Go Yankees. Sincerely, all Yankee fans.
What is up, guys? It is us here once again at Fired Up Sports, Yank This, episode 5. We got me, Chris, here, along with Tommy.
What's up, guys? What's going on? Good to see you, Chris. Good back. Yeah, man. Let's talk about our boys, man. 13 at Yankee Stadium. I mean, best record in baseball still clearly. We're firing all cinders, man. It feels good to be a Yankee fan right now. It really does.
No, absolutely. Last week, to end off the show, we talked about how we thought our team would do to go on this bit of tough game run that we're gonna have. And so far, I'm looking like an idiot for saying 9-7. You guys are looking like prophets with the plus records.
I think I had 10-6.
You had 10-6, 11-5.
Yeah,
and I think Joe had the same thing.
11-5 when I realized it was a 4-game series against Houston, because I thought that 2 of our losses would come against Houston, right? And then we would lose 1 versus Tampa, 1 versus Toronto, and 1 versus, I think, Tampa again. But great start, man. I mean, 5-0, right? 3 against Tampa.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did this not only the home winning streak, but right now we're on a 7-game winning streak by ourselves. Not even just at home, 5-0 at home to go along with the 13 at home. This team has been looking unstoppable, not only with the sticks, first team to 100 home runs, but the arms have been sensational.
Every facet of the game is defense, pitching, and offense. Nothing looks bad right now. The guys are actually producing that we're not producing. Hicks has settled down a little bit, but he had a good week. Gallo's been okay, but had a good week, right? Higgy, wow, we talked bad about Higgy. Finally,
he woke up.
Right,
he woke up a bit. Even though one of those home runs was off a position player, but
Hey, listen, man, you gotta take what you gotta get, man. The guy had 0.
Yeah,
he had a daughter was pitching a home run. Right. How good we are, but let's talk about Aaron Judge. This guy is just on runs.
Yeah, he's on pace to hit 65 home runs this year, and from last I checked, it was 65 home runs, 139 RBIs, and like 102 runs while hitting 313.
That's insane. I mean,
no, absolutely.
Guy's just been that good, and he's been playing an unbelievable center field. Great catch the other day to end the game. I mean,
he slowly has become the starting center fielder. Like we ragged on Hicks for like he shouldn't get playing time. Meanwhile, Judge has started center field every available game we've given him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that, only because it's a big body and it's a big guy to be running that much, covering a lot of area. Right. But I think, like you said, with those guys underperforming, I feel like he has to get a lot of at-bats and get a lot of love in center field.
Yeah, of course. Hicks hitting 222 on the season as of right now. He has turned it around, for in the slightest regard. He's not doing what we thought he would. Some people thought he was going to be a 40-40 guy this year, but, he's not as hated as right now somebody like Joey Gallo, who's still at the bottom of the barrel for this Yankees team. But of course, another thing is the pitching. Even that game where Cole got shellacked at the end of last week's episode. I was touting Cole. I had Cole top 3 in the power rankings, and then he gives up 5 home runs and 2 1/3, and then the Yankees still find a way to win that game. So even when the pitching has struggled, the bats have been able to bail it out.
When you have a bullpen that comes in and pitches 7 1/3 innings, whatever it was.
Yeah, 7 2/3.
Yeah, 7 2/3 scoreless innings. That helps. Actually, like I said, that's why I said at every facet of the game we're excelling at pitching, defense, and hitting. So that was definitely huge. Cole always had a problem with home runs. That is his downfall. It's not like backed around like double, single double. It's the solo shot that hurt him. It's always been one of his things though, all the time in his career. So but big last start, right? That double play ended 6 innings strong, 7 Ks. That was a lot of emotion. right? Fist pumping, yelling as he exits the mound and exits the game. Like I want to see that out of our guy, you know?
I think he was just happy to finally get G-Man Choi out
Yeah, right.
at second base for that double play.
Crazy. That guy's been his killer forever. The guy about like high 380s, something like that, something crazy.
I mean, I'm not sure what it was as of that game, but when we went to Tampa a couple weeks ago, it was like he was hitting like 440 something. But I think he's 1-3 in his last 1-for-3 in his last 3 at bats against Cole.
So getting back to our bullpen being strong, right? Let's talk about the guys that we have coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loizaga coming back, throwing a bullpen. Chapman coming back, throwing on the mound the other day, covering first base, looking like the Achilles is healing up pretty nicely. Those guys are coming back, and that's huge for us.
No, absolutely, especially when you look at how great Michael King and Wandy Peralta, who a lot of people wrote off at the beginning of the season, Miguel Castro, who we stole at the very last minute, and of course Clay Holmes, who has kind of made a little bit of a controversial decision for when Chapman comes back on who we give the ball to in the 9th inning in a close game.
See, I was watching the Michael K show. Funny you said that. I was watching the Michael K show yesterday, and according to Michael K, he was saying that Boone, this is from Boone's mouth, that when he comes back, that Clay Holmes will be used in high leverage situations. Now, to me, high leverage situations sounds like he's not going to be the closer, right? Sounds like, oh, in the 7th inning, if we're up 3-2 when there's 2 men on, you're going to, and then, which I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, this guy has been unbelievable. I didn't like what I heard from Boone in that regard. I think that you want to ease Chapman back in. I think maybe you bring him in a spot when we're up 6-1 in the 6th or 7th inning. That's what I think should happen right now. I don't think he should come right back in and all of a sudden, hey, I'm back. I'm your closer now because he's that guy and has that title and has the money. I don't think he should be the guy right now. I think Holmes should be the guy, and we work Chapman in from there. That's
I absolutely agree with you. You know, I haven't been the biggest Chapman fan since his time in Chicago. I will never forget in Game 7 when he gave up that home run to Rajay Davis, of all people. But in a sense of, at the beginning of the season, I was very high on DJ LeMahieu playing every day just because of the contract we gave him. It's like, am I really paying this guy all this money to be a utility role player? Now, they've worked him well. He's pretty much been an everyday guy, which is what I asked for. But are you really going to be as accepting to somebody making $18 million, the guy that we are paying to be the closer, coming in that 7th inning low leverage situation? Now, trust me, I don't trust Chapman at all. No. When I went even in a 5-6 run game, I'm not trusting Chapman. But from a business sense, it's like we're paying this guy to be the closer. Maybe 7th inning isn't crazy, but in 8th inning, you know, if we need those last 2 outs, if the matchups are looking favorable, I could definitely see Chapman coming in, or hell, even on Holmes off days if we use him back to back.
And the problem I see with Chapman is this, right? You feel like he's an ego guy. I could be wrong. I don't know him, obviously, but you think he's going to really be like, oh, okay, guys, no problem. Put me in the 7th inning when we're up 6-1. I demand, like, I am the closer. You know who I am. Put me in and up 3-1. So that's something that we're going to have to deal with as well. So we'll see what happens when he actually does come back. But like I said, what I heard from Boone, I was not a huge fan of that, to be really honest with you. And they're going to have a decision on their hands when he comes back. And to me, this is like a big deal because it's like making a small in-house trade during the season, getting back Loizaga and Chapman. Because we've been without them for a while, more so Loizaga than Chapman, right? Getting a guy back who throws 99 to 100 in Loizaga with a lot of movement, that's just another great arm to add to a bullpen that's already been dominant.
Right, of course, you know, because again, the questions I've had is this team has been so well built this season with the injuries that we're gonna have some tough decisions to make on who to send down when the time comes.
Now, speaking of that, let's get to our next topic and next point here. We have a lot of decisions to make, right? And this team has been assembled really good this year. Let's talk about Brian Cashman, right? People wanted his head at one point. Sucks. He's only a GM because he's been with the Yankees, and if he was anywhere else, he would have been terminated years ago. Let's talk about what this guy did, especially coming into this year with the moves that he made and the things that he did. You're talking about a team that competes every year, but yes, has been underperforming in the playoffs. So what could we have done to switch that up? Well, let's bring in some guys who get on base, who hit for average and play defense. In comes Donaldson, in comes IKF. Ship out Sanchez, who doesn't do those things. You're talking about a team that looks more cohesive. The defense is better. We're one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And yet Brian Cashman, people wanted him gone last year, the year before. But no one talks about how good of a job this guy has really done in the offseason.
No, I mean, in the offseason, maybe. I feel like a lot of his work was done last season, bringing in Holmes. That was late. That was a late last season trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the offseason, people were saying that he went kind of quiet. The big deal was just to get off Sanchez. And a lot of people were critical of that because of the money that we had to take on for Donaldson for not only this year, but next year, knowing that we have to pay so many people at the end of the year. But yeah, I have never been the biggest Chapman fan. I've always been on his back. I was kind of one of those guys saying, hey, what's the worst case we get? Bring on Jeter. If anybody's going to get a green light in New York, it's going to be Derek Jeter in the GM position. But I can't deny that Cashman has built himself a pretty solid team so far, top to bottom.
I'm older than you. I'm 38 years old. Baseball is my favorite sport by far. This is probably I think this is one of the best Yankee teams that I've seen as far as everything working together, and not only just record wise, just in general. Like the rotations are made.
Oh, Tommy. Can you repeat that, man? You kind of went out of there for a second.
Phone call. I apologize. No, I was saying that this is one of the best Yankee teams, if not the best team that I've seen since growing up watching them play. And I'm 38. This team is that good.
No, absolutely. And like you said, you have much more experience with this team than I do. I'm only 22 years old, and when you think about it, I've only seen one championship, and that's the one thing I always got ragged on in school, and by my friends is I would always say, we have 27 championships, and they'd hit me with, well, you've seen one of them.
Yeah.
So and honestly, it does remind me of that 2009 team, the way that the pieces fit together defensively when they had A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira in that infield, and then you had Granderson, Gardner, and Melky in the outfield, I believe, or Hideki. Hideki was also doing DH time at that point, so I wasn't sure if he was getting field time, or I can't remember. And then you had Posada and Molina behind the plate, and the rotation of Sabathia, the one good year of AJ Burnett.
I believe Hideki Matsui, I'm not sure how much field play he was getting, like you said, but I do remember he won the World Series MVP. I thought it should have been A-Rod.
No, Hideki was hitting like 600 in that World Series.
A-Rod had so many, the home run against the Twins, the Angels, and then the Phillies again. So, but yeah, I mean, either way, the team was phenomenal. But this team, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not saying World Series a bust, but I think this team legit has a chance to really win it all. And then,
well, that's really what the records have been saying. You know, when you look on Twitter and you see every Yankee team that's won 45 of the first 60 games has made the World Series, and we've won 6 out of 8 of them, and then you see that stat. So record wise, we're on pace for the World Series, and I'm ready for that.
How it is for the Yankees though? The Yankees always have that boom or bust mentality. So I don't care. Like, if they win 104, 107, 108 games, but they lose in the second round of the playoffs, to us and to most of the fans, it's not going to matter.
No, I 100% agree with you. We could break the wins record and then get bounced out in the wild card game, or not the wild card game because we're going to have the best record in baseball, but we can get bounced out in the first round, just get speed bagged, and it all doesn't matter. We lost at the end of the day. Exactly. Yeah. I forgot who said this. I think it was it was it was in basketball. I think it was Draymond Green who plays for the Warriors, also the Warriors and Celtics in the finals. Great series right now. But I believe Draymond said after a loss in 2017 that the only W that he cares about is the last game of the season, because that means we won. That means we won it all. And that's really all I care about when it comes to this team.
Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. Okay. You're talking about 13 years already. All right. That's been a while.
Yeah. wasn't last decade the first decade ever that the Yankees just didn't make a World Series?
They definitely didn't make one in the teens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that was the first decade that they never made the World Series. And and again, Cashman has gotten a lot of flack about that. I was on Cashman, I was on Girardi, and we see what happened with Joe Girardi after leaving New York. I was never a fan of his, but yeah, I've definitely been on Cashman in the past, and right now I'm finding it very hard to continue to be on his ass about it. But we got to see how the rest of the season plays out. We're still in the first half, and hopefully that everybody can keep going on all cylinders.
Yep. Rotation. Snow Sevy tonight. I on the IL with COVID.
He pulled COVID, yeah.
Saw that.
Who's getting the start? I saw Clark Schmidt.
Clark Schmidt's just getting, I guess you can call it an opener. I'm not sure how many innings he can give you. Probably 4, right. I would assume. Probably more of a pitch count than actually innings, obviously. So we'll keep an eye on that. Michael King will come into play, I would assume, right? If he goes.
I was going to say Michael King's probably going to get 2 to 4 innings.
Try to get 3 out of Clark Schmidt, 3 or 4 out of King, and then let's see what happens with the score, right? But rotation-wise, besides Sevy being scratched tonight because of COVID, good bounce back start from Cole. Nasty Nestor, solid start.
Mm-hmm. Not the best, not what we've seen from him, but compared to his last start where he only went 4 1/3, I'll take the 5.
Rotation still has been very good since last week's show.
What about Monty? Monty with 8 shutout. What was it? Was it 7 shutout innings against Chicago?
Start. I love what I'm seeing, man. I don't know. I know every week we talk about the rotation. I feel like since we first started the show, this is episode 5 with 1 week off. You're talking about now. It's always like, oh, can this rotation keep it up? Another week goes by. Can they keep it up? Another week goes by. Can they keep it up? Listen, they're not going to keep it up for the whole season to have these amazing numbers, but they are very good. And it's 60 games into the season. How much longer do we have to keep showing that they're very good?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I completely agree.
And it's time to show them love. They've been unbelievably good.
No, absolutely. Again, if you just go down the list of guys, King, he had a little bit of struggles a couple of weeks ago, but he's turned it around completely. He's back to being the shutout guy that he was. The surprise of Clay Holmes that's starting to close games. Wandy and Castro that I mentioned earlier, those guys were kind of wrote off as, good guys to have, but they've been stepping up with the loss of our main guys like Green and Loizaga and Chapman. And, who knows when Britton's ever going to come back if he ever does.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rotation top to bottom, the starting rotation, Tyon, who I haven't always given the most love to on the podcast, but he's 7-1. He plays winning baseball, and Monty has been great. I think it's 12 straight starts with 3 earned runs allowed or less, which is most in baseball. Cole, good bounce back start. He had 7 Ks after that shellacking from the Twins. Sevy, back-to-back games with 10 strikeouts. In 13 innings, he's got 20 strikeouts in 13 innings against some pretty good teams. So I'm really loving what we're seeing out of this team from the arm perspective.
I want to give a shout out. We can talk about this for a little bit. Great. I think it's been a phenomenal job also by Aaron Boone. We already talked about our GM, right? Giving praise to Cashman when we have always sometimes got on him as a fan. Time to look at Aaron Boone and start saying that the guy, you may not like him, but the moves he's making, every move this year seems to work. It's hard to keep 4 really good infielders on a rotation. It's hard to have 4 outfielders on a rotation, okay? You got to get days off. And let's start with the outfield, right? You got Judge, Hicks, Stanton, and Gallo. You got to rotate those guys in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want Judge to keep playing a lot because of what he's doing. Stanton's been unreal. Hicks and Gallo been but you got to find spots for them to get rest, right? Then look at the infield. All those guys that we have in the infield. You got Rizzo, Torres, LeMahieu, IKF, and Donaldson. I think Boone has done a phenomenal job on getting these guys rest, playing the guys while they're hot.
Mm-hmm.
Done a really, really good job on doing so.
Well, there was one point where, Gallo had that big 2 home run game, and then he was benched the next day, and everybody was questioning him. And then that game ended up going, 16 innings? So, Boone has done a great job doing his job, being a manager, being a great game manager, knowing when to put guys in. Yankees have been the most secure team in baseball this year, where we have given up the least amount of leads in the league. So he's been a great manager, knowing when to slot the right guy in at the right time. Even guys that we've never heard of, guys that we weren't expecting to be shut down guys. Karate Kid got that win in that 16-inning game. When, I'll be honest, I saw Karate Kid get put in, I turned the game off. I'm like, all right, game's over. We used everybody. Game's over.
Yep. I think I said Boone's been doing a good job with rotating in Trevino and Higgy.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Cole likes to. It seems like Cole's guy is Trevino, so Cole gets him on his starts. But I think he's done a good job of guys go back and forth. Higgy's been hot right now, so we're going. He's been going Higgy. And the week before that, your boy, you love Trevino, man. You had him on your power rankings last week. I think
he's gonna be on it this week too. Best believe.
Guy's batting like 440 his past like 12 games or whatever it is. It's phenomenal.
All right, so we're definitely going to keep talking about this. Tommy, we're going to get your trade. We're just going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll talk about that when we get back.
Got it.
Holmes like slider on that graphic. All right, Tommy, we got your trade. What have you got for us today?
So, I'm going to give out some stats about this guy. And they're going to be really good, and you're probably not going to know his name. Most people won't. Only maybe your fantasy baseball guys will, because he's definitely in your bullpen. The guy last year had a 2.12 ERA. Okay, this year pitching to a 1.14, 11 saves, a whip of .79, throws 97, nasty slider, 11. Like I said, 11 saves, ERA 1.14. 20% swing and miss ratio on pitches that are getting that people are actually swinging at. 20% they don't even hit them. This guy is David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates, guys. Okay, he is very, very good. The only thing I would say that would be the downfall, you can call it, I guess, is that it's only been for a year and a half that he's been really good. The year before that was not that good, but he is on the Pittsburgh Pirates, and this guy has been filthy the past 18 months. I mean, the guy's six wins last year, 3 wins this year already. Like I said, just throwing gas, and he's a no name in the baseball realm, besides maybe a fantasy guy. But we were talking about this pre-show, trying to figure out what maybe guys could be traded for him. You don't want to give up too much, because, like I said, this is only 1.5 years that he's been really, really solid. But we mentioned that maybe move like an outfielder like Esteban Florial for him, and a AA pitcher might get it done. You don't want to give up too much, like we said earlier, because then why do that, right? And they already have a great shortstop prospect, like we talked about earlier. So sending off someone like Oswaldo Peraza might not work. So that's why Florial's name came up. You could put him in any one of the outfield positions on Pittsburgh, and he would be good. I think it's a kid who needs more playing time, and with us, it just hasn't happened. But the talent's there. I think him and like a AA pitcher that's really good would get it done. And this guy has been really good to our bullpen. Chapman's done next year, guys, okay? He's a free agent. We're not re-signing him. That ship has sailed. And I think if you bring this guy in, you can make this guy your 8th inning guy, and you can have Clay Holmes as your 9th inning guy. That's the trade right there. Like I said, someone that you might not know, but his stuff is really good.
Right. And, a good thing about that is that you're going to have him and Holmes, if this trade does happen, you're going to have him and Holmes, which, they have the chemistry from the Pittsburgh system, so they wouldn't be too crazy. My only problem with it is I feel like Pittsburgh would want an MLB ready type reliever. So I feel like we would have to give up somebody in that regard. I
did leave this out. I'm sorry. He is through club control through 2026. Not eligible for arbitration, guys, to 2024. You're talking about a guy who's on a cheaper deal, who is with your team through 2026 and not arbitration eligible 2024. But that's a deal too, right?
No, absolutely. That's going to be a factor, but you also got to think from a Pittsburgh perspective with somebody like O'Neal Cruz, with them re-signing to Brian Hayes and Brian Reynolds. is Esteval Florio going to be enough to get it done? Because again, I feel like we are going to have to give up an MLB, somebody that's already on the roster, to get him. Because I feel like Pittsburgh's going to want an MLB ready guy, not a double A reliever. Because of course Pittsburgh's on a timetable, but they're also still trying to put butts in seats. They're still trying to win, enough games to turn a profit on the season.
I gotcha. Like I said, I don't. I really don't know. This trade was what came into mind because I don't really want to change much.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you could use maybe something here and there, I just think the chemistry that we have with the guys that we have coming back out of the bullpen, I don't think too much is needed. So maybe a small move like that, solidify and get a guy that's going to be here for the next 3 or 4 years while, knowing that Chapman's not going to be here next year.
No. Okay, I can definitely see that. One guy that I've been really hard body trying to get is somebody like an Anthony Santander, but I know it'll never happen just because of the inter-division rivalry. But man, if we can move Hicks,
that we would never trade within the division, it would never happen, right?
Yeah,
like him. And the Yankees both a good enough prospect to Baltimore either, right?
So, yeah, I was thinking. If that trade were to happen, we would definitely have to give up Hicks, Higgy, Peraza, and maybe a pitching prospect. But he'd be under team control until 2026. Same with your guy in Pittsburgh. He'd be that corner outfielder that we would need. He hits with runners in scoring position. I believe he has 28 RBIs with runners in scoring position, 6 home runs this year, and to 11 in total. So that's a guy that I've really wanted on this team, because I feel like he's what we want Aaron Hicks to be. But I know that, but I mean, even from Baltimore's perspective, if you get Hicks, that's an everyday guy. They can afford him because they have one of the lowest payrolls in baseball. They can afford that $10 million per year contract. You add Higgy to the deal. Higgy is that defensive backup catcher that honestly is his role. That's what he is. He's a great defensive backup catcher. Yeah. You can move Robinson Chirinos because he's been one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball this year. And you have a good guy to mentor Adley Rushman from the defensive side. Peraza, who's a great infield prospect. And like I said, if we need to add another arm, we would. But the thing that breaks my heart is we could offer all that and it won't go through because it's an interdivision deal.
Yeah.
But no, if for a deal that could happen today, tomorrow, this week, I think your guy in Pittsburgh is the way to go. I'm just not sure if Florial would be enough. We would definitely have to give up an MLB ready starter and probably another pitching prospect for their future plans.
Try to make a trade for the team when they're this, right?
Yeah.
Try to think of what you can do and what you can get to a regular league. It's like, really, what can
who's saying that teams want to trade with the Yankees right now? It could have the same effect that the Lakers had in the late 2000s, where it's like anywhere but the Lakers will send you.
Yeah.
It's definitely and it's the same kind of, it's the Lakers, it's the Yankees, it's the staple we don't like you type of team that the other 29 fan bases kind of bring into the world against those two teams. But who knows if this team's gonna get it.
I'm kind of off topic real quick, but that's a beautiful thing, man. When we got a 9-game lead, man. I'm just watching it. I'm sorry, guys, just kind of going right across the front of my eyes. 9-game division lead. Really, who would have thought this 62 games through the season that we would have a 9-game lead? We all talked about how good Toronto was going to be, and they have been great lately. Don't get me wrong. But, man, 9-game lead against that division. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. We know Boston back, and they did, even though they're playing really well right now. But, this 9-game lead is huge.
It's kind of weird to think what would they be better or worse with Robbie Ray right now? Because Robbie Ray has been hit or miss in Seattle. When he's on, but he's had some pretty rough starts over in the West. So who knows?
Bad out there, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? But Toronto, they're still both scary teams, especially because now we gotta see both Tampa and Toronto over the next 3 series. So we still got a ways to go in this season, and we're gonna have a very rough stretch.
Absolutely.
You guys were definitely on the money though when it came to that record. I was a little bit more pessimistic than you guys were, but we're gonna have Schmidt take some innings tonight. Hopefully we can hold on and sweep this Rays series real quick before we head to Toronto.
Yep. I think, like I said, I think tonight King coming in after Schmidt, and then we get together with the amazing bullpen that we have. I really love the direction this team is going, and a number of good things continuing as long as our positional players stay healthy, which they have. Knock on wood, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's been a great season. Aaron Judge is really letting us know like what kind of player he really is. He's having an unbelievable season, and this deal has to get done in the off season. I don't think I don't care about you want to what. Oh, I want 10 years, 300, or eight. What he wanted, whatever it was. We offered him 8 years and whatever it was. Give him the extra 2 years. What does it matter? You want to really let this guy walk for the last 2 years of a deal?
Yeah, if you give him the extra 2 years and front load the contract, so it's not an albatross in 7-8 years. But going into the Toronto series coming up, we do got Montgomery, Tyon, and Cole for the 3 games, and one guy that we now don't have to see in that series is Hyunjin Ryu, who just went down with the UCL tear. So that's a pretty big up for us. Of course, you never want to see anybody injured, but you know that's pretty solid for us, especially going into the series we're about to have.
I agree. I just Trevor. So get it done, Cashman.
Oh no, that's another thing. I talked about it in the group chat. Where we could apologize to Chapman all we want. I'm not saying a word about Chapman until Aaron Judge's name is on the dotted line and he has a C on his jersey. Don't think I forgot about that. I want him to be the captain of this team.
I don't know if the Yankees gonna give out the C, but they need to pay this guy and give him the 10-year deal that he wants. Because I don't care what you say. Right now at this given time, Judge is a top 5 player in baseball.
That might be being generous. He could be top 3.
You gotta put Acuna, Soto, Trout, right? Acuna,
J-Ram,
Trout, who?
J-Ram, Jose Ramirez over in Cleveland.
I love Jose Ramirez, but I don't put him ahead of Judge.
Okay.
Those 3 are there. I think Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, and Judge are right there. Them 3
they're the same tier type of player.
If they're not top 5, they're 5, 6, 7, or 6, 7, 8.
Okay.
Okay. Mookie, Harper, and Judge. But what Judge is doing between defense, hitting, and everything, he's a top 5 in my eyes. You obviously have Soto, Trout. You know, you could probably maybe put, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. up there as well. But Judge,
I don't think Vladdy is as versatile as a defender as everybody else you named. But yeah, Vladdy's really, really, really good with the stick. He's definitely borderline top 10, if not top 10. And that's another guy we got to see in this upcoming series. You know, Vladdy. Is Springer healthy? Springer's healthy like once every few weeks, but I'm not sure if he's healthy right now.
Yeah.
But you also that's just a dangerous lineup to face. You got Vladdy, Bo Bichette, Chapman, Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, another good. Yep.
Alejandro Kirk, who's played outstanding this year. He's a guy that a lot of people have as the AL catcher for the All-Star game over Trevino, which, you know, I'm voting Trevino. I hope everybody else watching is voting Trevino. But yeah, Alejandro Kirk has had a great season. So this is going to be a very fun series to watch, but also a very nerve-wracking series, I think.
Yeah, I think it's time to play them while we're hot, while we're winning the 7 games. General 13 home. I'll Toronto for the series, but I think it's a great time to play them. We're playing while we're hot. Let's see what we can do.
No, absolutely. And again, with the loss of Ryu, who definitely would have gotten a start, because I think Kikuchi was slotted in there. So with the loss of Ryu, that's another arm we don't have to see. And I think this team is definitely good enough to at least take the series, if not sweep. But we got to see. We got to see, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? Let's change gears a little bit and let's talk about how great, you know, let's talk about how great defensively this team has been. You know, not only do we have the hot corner covered with the best defensive run saved with Donaldson and LeMahieu, and hell, even Matt Carpenter got some reps there the other day. But we also, as much as I rag on Higashioka, him and Trevino have been leading one of the best backstops in baseball all year.
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo has been the great defensive first baseman that we all knew he could be. Gleyber Torres, as we've said over the last few weeks, has really turned his game around since moving to second. And then if you rotate LeMahieu and IKF over at short and Marwin, the infield has been absolutely stacked. Judge has been a great center fielder. As much as we don't want to see him out there every day, he's been an outstanding center fielder, along with his play in right. Hicks, when he shows effort, is a great defender. Not the best, but he's a solid defender.
Besides the once or twice a week where he looks like he's kind of shagging a fly ball in a men's recreational softball game, the guy's very good out there. Gallo's still a very good defender.
Gallo's still a Gold Glover defender.
Yeah,
and then even Stanton has been solid.
And Stanton hits better when he is in the field, so you got to play him in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, right? When the guy is just DHing, he's not locked in. But when he's out in the field and playing, he said it himself, I feel better. I feel more into the game, and I'm ready to go. And the guy is good for us this year.
No, absolutely. Like I said, this team, I feel like it can't do any wrong. If you look at the bats, everybody's hitting on all cylinders other than our bottom three guys in Gallo, Higgy, and Hicks. Everybody else has been solid this year. Defensively, we're one of the best teams in baseball. Our rotation was on a historic pace a couple of weeks ago. We've slid back down a little bit. We had that rough game by Cole, the rough game by Cortez, and the blown save by Castro.
We got to get that picture up, man, of what Cortez is doing to the fans. The picture of the girl with the mustache. We got to throw that up, man, when we come back from our next break, because that picture was hysterical.
Yeah, everybody's trying to be a Super Smash Bro.
Throwing on a mustache, man. It's like guy's awesome personality is huge. Not only but he's great for the team. Great for
During
the club.
that, if anybody saw that Yankees Cubs game, I think it was the second game in the series when Judge hit 2 home runs and Torres got one and Stan got one. They interviewed Cortez during Montgomery's start, and he's just a likable guy.
Yeah,
he's just a great personality to have, and especially when you think about how great his story is to become this type of pitcher, where we DFE'd him twice, and then Baltimore signed him, and he struggled there, and had time in Seattle, was cut from there, came back to the Yankees, and now he looks like he's going to be starting in the All-Star game. It's an incredible story. He's a likable guy, and you just love to see it.
And right,
mm-hmm.
Really got your mind and heart set on something. So I mean, going at it.
No, absolutely. And again, like this team is just so well built together that I understood why you couldn't really put a trade together. And it's team chemistry. That's really a big factor right now is team chemistry.
Like, what do you do, right?
Yeah, because even the guys off the bench, Marwin, I was surprised he made the 25-man roster at the beginning of the season. I believe it was Ray and Joe, and they were like, no, Marwin Gonzalez is a really good piece to have, and that's what he's been. He's been that solid platoon guy that we need in that middle infield spot all season. We signed Matt Carpenter, who I thought was going to be a skeleton on this team, and he's mashing every other time he puts the bat to the ball. So even the guys on the bench have been outstanding this year, and again, hopefully it's not going to break the team when we do have to make the decision to send somebody down. Hopefully we don't have another Andujar situation.
That's a bit. Let's go with that, Chris. What do we do? Right, great topic. What do we do in 2 weeks? Let's call it when Loaizaga and Chapman come back. Who was going down? Probably Marinaccio.
Marinaccio, Bonelos, and I think we when Britton comes back, if he comes back, I think we DFA Lucas Licky.
Okay, I guess you can go with just have Peralta as your lefty guy out of the pen, right?
Well, Britton's a lefty guy.
Yes. Okay, so let's not get into Zach Britton because that's a little bit longer down the road. Right now, in 2 weeks, with Chapman and Loaizaga coming back, you're saying you think the two guys that are gone will be
Marinaccio and Manny Bonelos.
And Bonelos has been a great story. He was on our team a couple of years ago. Didn't work out. Took a minor league deal with the Yankees just to pitch for New York because that was always his dream. That was
Yeah.
his dream to pitch for the Yankees. Took our minor and then made our team, which is awesome. But yeah, I guess those two would be the guys that would go: Marinaccio, the Karate Kid, and Buenuelos.
They seem like the odd man out right now, especially because we're trusting Schmidt tonight. So I feel like he's somewhat secure in his position right now. King secure, Holmes secure, Wandy secure, Castro secure. Who else can we really send down? I feel like they're really the odd man out. We want to keep our bench together because, as much as I love Tim LaCastro and the speed and the platoon he has in the outfield, and how he can play some infield too, but right now, who do you send down? If anybody, Higgy, and you have IKF be the catcher because Trevino's played better, but that's not preferable. That's not preferable.
Got to be two bullpen guys for two bullpen guys that we are getting back. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
No. All right, so I guess we can take another break real quick, and when we come back, I will give you my power rankings for the week. All right, it's time for my favorite and least favorite part of the week, where I speak my mind and get ridiculed. The power rankings.
But I would say me and Joe were like, I don't know. But this is your part, Chris. This is your thing. You are the power rankings guy. I'm the guy that comes up with a trade if we do think we should have one. So we will let you rock. We will let you go through your 1 to 10 like usual. And then something's a little. I'll speak my mind without badgering you.
I love no, trust me, I love the feedback. I'm just busting your balls. All right. Number one, I mean, do I even need to say his name anymore? I feel like it's going to be a thing for a little while. It's Aaron Judge.
Number 99 Wild.
Yeah, number 99 while still being number one. Aaron Judge. He's hitting 346 with a 1100 OPS, nearly a 1200 OPS in June alone. He's got 7 home runs, 12 walks, and 11 RBIs just in the month of June, and we're halfway through. He's on pace, as we already talked about, for 65 home runs, hitting 330 and over 130 RBIs. Number one, pretty secure. Number two, Clay Holmes. He saved 11 games. He saved his 11th game last night. He's been absolutely rock solid as that guy, and it looks like, as you said on the Michael K show, Boone confirmed that he's going to be the guy going forward in high leverage situations. But he has done something that only Mariano Rivera has done for this team, with 30 straight scoreless innings in relief. In those 30 scoreless innings, he has 32 strikeouts and only 15 hits, with 11 of those saves. The only time he gave up a run was in his season opener all the way back in April. So Clay Holmes has just been absolutely outstanding for 99% of the season. The 1% was his first time coming out of the pen. Number 3, Nestor. He's moving up. He's moving back up after, his bounce back start. There's really not much else to say about Nestor. We just talked about him. We all know how he's just a lovable guy, and he's just been everything that this team has kind of needed. Coming from the beginning of the season, we thought he'd be our 5 starter, and he's just been he's made the case that he could be our ace. Now, of course, that's still Garrett Cole, who I'll talk about in a second. But Nestor's just been that feel-good story for this year, and you absolutely love to see it. In his last start, he went 5 1/3, only 3 hits, that 1 run coming by home run, and he still has a sub-2 ERA on the season. Number 4, Monty. Monty has been that consistent, great, slow-throwing lefty that, that this team kind of needs. When you got guys that are throwing 100, when you got guys that are throwing high 90s, Montgomery's going to hit you with an 80-mile-an-hour curveball and strike you out and make you look foolish.
Not to cut in real quick, Chris, but he reminds me of like a little bit of a poorer man's Andy Pettit, right?
Absolutely.
What did Pettit throw? 93, 94 in his heyday, right? Mm-hmm. Andy but had a great curveball and a great slider and a good, right? Oh
no, absolutely. He's gotten those comparisons for a few years now. That Andy Pettit comparison. Maybe he needs to work on his pickoff move a little bit, but like we talked about, he's somebody that has gotten 12 straight starts to start out the season with allowing 3 or less runs. He just doesn't allow guys to cross the plate. And his last start, what's up?
2 wins.
Listen,
That's
run support is crazy. But again, he's been that guy, and if you go back to his last start against Chicago, that 7-inning shutout work, and then just to get his last out of the game, just you saw the emotion in him after getting that strikeout after he put some guys in scoring position. He got out of the inning, and of course it was in a blowout. It really didn't matter if a run came across, but just that calm under pressure. And again, even if he rested on his laurels and gave something down the middle and somebody scored, the game was over. He still would have gotten the W. But to show that poise throughout the game, you absolutely love to see it. Number 5, Luis Severino. Severino, over his last 2 starts, has been absolutely outstanding. 13 innings pitched, only 5 hits, 20 strikeouts. 8 hits, 20 strikeouts, only 1 run, and it was by a home run. So, and that's just in the month of June. Even if you go back to that start in Tampa, where he went 8 innings and only allowed 2 hits, both of them being home runs, he walked some guys, and then the bullpen let him down, so he ended up with 4 on the game. But he pitched outstanding, and he's been a really, really solid guy, and you love to see it coming off the injury history that he has.
Came back last year in the bullpen and was great, right? But we didn't know what we were going to get for him this year as a full-blown starter again. Mm-hmm. What he's been doing, it's been awesome. It's really really has.
No, absolutely. All right. Number 6, Garrett Cole. He was consistently in the top 4 for the first couple of weeks. And yes, he had a bounce back start in his last start, but when we last left off last episode, it was right before Garrett Cole got absolutely shellacked by a team that we are known to kind of dog in the Twins. I can't overlook that, so that's why he's a bit lower. He's a bit down on the list this week. If you go back to that Minnesota start, only 2 1/3, 8 hits, 7 runs, 5 of them home runs. And then if you look back to this start against Tampa, 6 innings, 5 hits, 7 Ks, no runs, 1 walk. So that's the guy we want Cole to be, but we know that Cole is definitely gonna give you that Minnesota type of start. But for a majority of the season, if you take away his first 3 starts and this last one, he's been rock solid. I feel like he still belongs in the top 10, maybe top 4, not this week. Number 7, my guy, Jose Trevino. Yep. He is the best catcher on this team. I don't care that Higgy has hit 3 home runs this week, Joe. I don't. One of them was against a position player in blowout games, so I don't care. Jose Trevino has been the absolute man this year. And again, just in June, he has hit 420 with, again, an 1100 OPS, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs in June. And one thing that we have very much hammered home on this show is his defense. He leads the league in framing runs this year. So if we're looking for that guy that framing guy that we love to talk about, when I mention Higgy trade, we're like, oh, we need a guy that frames. Nobody this year has done it better than Trevino, and that's why he's going to stay in this top 10 for as long as he continues to play like this. Number 8, a guy that I have not given the proper love to this year, Jameson Taillon. All right, yes, I feel like he's our number 5 starter, and that's why even on this list he falls the lowest out of the starters. But I can't deny that he has been solid, and he's playing winning baseball this year. He's 7-1. On the record. Last game, he had 5 innings pitched, only 3 runs and 5 strikeouts. And again, it was a blowout game against Chicago. But again, he's playing winning baseball, and he's a guy that you can get behind. So Jameson Taillon is at my number 8. Number 9, IKF. And again, when you think about IKF, he's the only guy on this team that has been there since day 1 without a home run. But he's that guy that gets on base. He's that guy that scores that game-winning run. And even a couple days ago, he was the only guy to drive in some runs in that 2-0 win. And, defensively, he's made some errors, yes. But I feel like he's been that guy at shortstop that we needed. He's the stopgap guy. He's a guy that hits for contact. He's a guy that gets on base. He's a guy that scores. He's really what we need right now. We didn't need a power hitting car. We, of course, would have loved it, but we didn't need a big power hitting Carlos Correa type guy or Trevor Story type guy. That's a luxury, and I feel like IKF has been the piece that we need. And number 10, some guy, Anthony Rizzo. I've loved him all season. He's struggled at the plate, but he's hit the ball when we needed him to. I keep saying June Anthony Rizzo. He's got 4 home runs
But
and
not
12.
Anthony Rizzo. You always say that.
Yep, absolutely. Nobody's ready for June Anthony Rizzo. He's got 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, but he's also only hitting 215 in June. So I love him. He's in the top 10 for now. Hopefully he can be that June Anthony Rizzo that I'm touting, and he can move his way back up. But as of right now, he's going to be at number 10.
All right, listen, man. I'm gonna throw a couple comments out here about your rankings. I actually thought they were pretty solid. I think this was probably your best one, and they all been good, buddy. But I think this one was really, really good. Right? It got the rankings, guys, for everybody out there, and for us as well. Right? This is not a top 10 Yankee list on who's the most important guy for the whole year. Okay, this is a weak list. So Cole, I actually think Cole could go under Tyone, and the reason why I say that is because you got to be the ace, man. Okay, the 5 home runs in an inning and 2/3 is not acceptable. Okay, I know you're a home run prone guy, but we need you to be Garrett Cole. So I wouldn't mind if Cole was lower on the list and Taillon was higher. Rizzo dropping to 10, I have no problem with that. Being the 10th guy, he has struggled a little bit at the plate. His defense is still great. Came up with hits when we need him, but he also needs to be a little bit better, right? Don't want to be a hole in the lineup. But Judge number 1. Obviously, let's just go to the next one. We don't even have to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
But
number 2.
I think it's been really good, man. Your list was solid tonight, brother. Great job as always. Trevino's been great. I think he definitely deserves to be where he was on the list. Holmes number 2 was spot on, and no banter for me, buddy. This week I thought it was very solid. I think you did a great job. It's up with a top 10 list when you have as many good players as we do.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with 10 guys when we had 2 games where we almost had 20 runs.
Some teams wouldn't be able to come up with a top 5 list, okay, of how good players are for their team. We had the luxury of having a 10 and all top 10 being guys who still contribute to our team on a daily / weekly basis, right? Great job, man.
Yeah, one guy I wanted to put in just for Joe was Matt Carpenter, but I just need him to play more.
Yeah, I just
need him to play more.
Home runs been great, but like you said, 7 RBIs in 1 game. But yeah, I could see that guy falling off the face of the earth next to us between playing time and just not being as good as what he had, right? What can you really expect from a 37, 38-year-old infielder that obviously didn't have a lot of play the last year and a half? Maybe that's why he's pretty good right now, because he's been, not getting a lot of at-bats, so he's kind of healthy. But yeah, I don't think I get it, even though it's a week-to-week list. Leaving him off, I think, is the right thing. Yeah. Oh, we missed our buddy Joe, but great job today. Power ranking, good trade. Great. Let's look at the W, boys.
No, absolutely. We do have this tough string of games. We got Tampa, Toronto, and then Tampa again, and then Houston. We should be back here with episode 6 by that second Tampa series, or the game 1 of the Houston series is next episode. So hopefully we end up taking at least 3 out of the 4 next games with Tampa and Toronto.
I might have lowballed us at 11-5, boys. We'll see what happens.
We're looking unstoppable right now. Even with this with Severino going down, I'm still confident, and I couldn't. If this was last year, I wouldn't say that. Yeah. I would chalk tonight up as a loss, but the way we are right now.
So, yes, I don't made a couple slight moves. Sanchez gone, bringing Donaldson. But this team does not give the same feel as last year when we were like, oh my God, postseason, it's either home runs or nothing. We don't score. It's either home runs or nothing. Okay, starting pitching. No. Bullpen's great. Starting pitching's phenomenal. Offense hits, not just home runs only. Yes, we have 100 home runs, but we also score runs in other ways now. We steal bags now. We play baseball the right way. different field boys in the Bronx this year, guys. Really does feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that has been a solid 2-man episode. We missed Joe, like you said, but episode 5 is in the books. Next week we will be here for that Houston series. We're going to talk about the Tampa series and the Toronto series. But hopefully everyone here has enjoyed, and we will see you guys next week.
Go boys.